Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's MoodTube Jets recap. We're talking the Monday night debacle against the Bears. Now, I was there in the stands, screaming my lungs out until the very bitter end. So, yesterday, I decided to take a break to rest my voice and also collect my thoughts so that I could more accurately and less emotionally break down what went wrong. And there was a whole lot that went wrong. But before I get to talking about that, I first want to talk about what went right, and that was the defense. We knew that the Jets defense was going to be good this year, but yet again, they can prove that they're exceeding expectations. They held the running game to 60 yards. I'll sign up to holding one of the best running backs in Matt Forte to 60 yards any day of the week. And Jay Cutler and the dynamic passing offense, we held them to 197 yards. Again, I'll sign up for that any day of the week. Yes, there were some blown coverages, specifically when Alshon Jeffrey was able to beat Antonio Allen one on one. But Alshon Jeffrey's a great player, and Antonio Allen's a young cornerback. Sometimes he's going to get beat. I thought Allen played a great game with the exception of that one play. And also, there's that blown coverage on the Martellus Bennett touchdown to start the second half. There's just a miscommunication on what they're going to do when they're crossed. They've got to clean that up, but those things happen sometimes in the NFL. Going against the Bears offense, which is supposed to be one of the best offenses in the NFL, which boasts Brandon Marshall, who, yes, he was injured, but he still is a huge decoy. Alshon Jeffrey, who's a great wide receiver, Martellus Bennett, and then Matt Forte out of the backfield to top it all off. They're going to score points. I knew that going in. Everybody should have known that going in. So the fact that we held their actual offense to 20 points overall, I'll sign up for that any day. And as for the defense overall, we're through two games of our ridiculous schedule of going against elite quarterbacks, and so far the Jets' defense is holding up. Yes, you might say, well, how can you say that after they gave up over 200 yards to Jordy Nelson against the Packers in week two? Well, let's look at the stats. Through 3 weeks against the Packers, the Bears, who are two of the top offenses of the NFL, and yes, the Raiders, the Jets are number one against the run. They're number 9 against the pass, which is good enough for number 2 overall defense. The defense looks great, and they're only going to get better when eventually D. Miller can come back healthy and lock down the other side of the field. Now for what went wrong. And things have to start off with the quarterback, Geno Smith. That screen pass interception is just unacceptable. He's not a rookie anymore. You can't make those mistakes. That's the kind of ridiculous, boneheaded play, throwing an interception on a screen pass right into the defender's numbers that had people calling for the Jets to draft Johnny Manziel in the draft this year. Geno is a much better player than he was at the start of last season. He's shown that this year, but he needs to stop making those boneheaded plays because the more of them he makes, the louder that the calls for Mike Vick are going to get. And Mike Vick should not come in to start. Geno Smith's the quarterback of this team. He's doing well, but he needs to cut out these boneheaded mistakes. As for the second interception, that's just awful. He needs to know better. In the red zone is where you need to protect the ball the most. What that means is you don't throw it up in a jump ball to David Nelson in the back of the end zone into double coverage with a third defender lurking. You just don't do that. There's so many other things he could have done. He could have tucked the ball and ran, gone upfield for a couple yards, and gone down. He could have just thrown it away, as he's done a lot more this year to avoid making stupid plays. Or you find somebody to dump it off to rather than throwing it into the end zone. That's just awful. As for the red zone woes, Geno missed some plays. I'm not going to say that. It was a bad throw on the third down on the last drive. He should have thrown a better pass than that. But the blame needs to lie with Marty Morningwig. He needs to make better play calls. Specifically, the one that comes to mind was the third down design run to Geno Smith. No, I'm sorry. When it's 3rd and 2 and you have Chris Ivory, one of the best power running backs in the NFL, on your team, you don't do a design quarterback run in that situation. You hand the ball off to your bell cow and you let him power it through and get you that first down. Speaking of Chris Ivory, I've been saying since they got him last year that he has the potential to be one of the best marquee running backs in the NFL. And he's showing people that so far this year, in the limited chances that he's gone, he's vastly outperforming Chris Johnson. And the Jets need to accept that at this point in his career, Chris Johnson is best suited as only as a change of pace back. Let's use Chris Ivory as the every down back, running and hammering it down their throats. Because as he, it's brings me to I'm sorry, my train of thought is just running on and running on, but I just thought of the fourth quarter. How does Chris Ivory not get a single touch in the fourth quarter? He's the kind of running back that wears defenses down every play, every play, every play. They get tired at the end of the game, and they're tired of trying to hit him because he's a powerful runner. But yet you don't give him the ball. The fourth quarter, as we saw against the Raiders in week one, is when he's going to bust those big plays and make us and score those touchdowns. So why do you not give him the ball? Now back to what I was saying about Chris Johnson. He's best served as a change of pace back. Let's have Chris Ivory be the marquee back. And then you bring in Chris Johnson on third down or when you want to go in a two running back set. That's what he's best served as at this point. Let's stop trying to force him into being a feature back or it being an even split. Chris Ivory's the guy that needs to be the marquee running back for the New York Jets. Let's get it done. And now, having addressed that, I've got to talk about what really pisses me off. I'm mentioning this last because I didn't want to seem like a little crybaby complaining about the refs. But this is the second week in a row that the refs have absolutely screwed the Jets out of a game-tying or at least game-changing touchdown. And this week, the Jets can't take any of the blame for this mistake. First off, that pass interference call, that was just awful. That was in the end zone that I was sitting in the opposite field, on the opposite side of the field. So I could see it perfectly. And it was blatantly obvious that it was offensive pass interference. I started screaming it immediately. Darren Walls had a chance to pick that ball off. And the Louisville Slugger came running over, Calvin Pryor, and immediately started waving for them to throw a flag for offensive pass interference. But what do? Oh, they call it on the defense, and the Bears end up getting some points out of it. That's just ridiculous. But we all know what the big mistake was this game. That horrible, horrible miscall on that fumble. Now, Sheldon Richardson came out and said yesterday that he talked to the refs before the game, and he's talked to other refs, and that he's under the understanding, as which it should be, that refs are supposed to let that play go out because every single scoring play is reviewed, every single turnover is reviewed, so you can come back and give the ball back to the offense, but you can't put those 7 points on the board that you took away from the Jets. One of my friends, Crawford Clark, who's a known Jets hater, texted our group of friends immediately saying that it was a horrible call and that it should be 7 points on the board for the Jets. But we didn't get those 7 points. The Jets failed to score on that drive, which obviously is their fault, but that's another issue. And then that completely alters the rest of the game. Say we score that touchdown, and on that final drive, we're only down by 1 point. What happens when we get into the red zone and it's fourth down? Oh, we bring in Nick Folk, who's automatic. He kicks the field goal. The Jets win by 2. I win my bet, and everybody's happy. But now we're sitting here, and I'm pissed off because the Jets lost. Geno looks like an idiot because of his horrible mistakes, which he would have anyway. And the Jets are out of loss. They're 1-2 when they should be 2-1. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I don't know if this is something that's going to keep on happening. Refs make mistakes. I understand that. But for some reason, it seems to be happening to the Jets week in and week out. Something's got to change, or else the Jets just can't keep trying to play against two teams, the refs and their opposing team. It just can't happen. As for Jalen Saunders and that muff punt, I mean, that's just awful. It's a rookie mistake. We see this every single year with rookie punt returners dropping punts. He's got to be better than that. He's on the team specifically for his prowess as a return man. You just can't do that. Now, as for something besides that I want to see happen for the Jets offense, besides Chris Ivory becoming the feature back, it's time for David Nelson to sit down. As soon as Eric Decker comes out, I want the 3 starting wide receivers to be Greg Salas, Eric Decker, and obviously Jeremy Curley. I mean, Salas proved on Monday night that he can make plays. That 51-yard catch and run was a beautiful play by him, and he gave the Jets a chance to win. David Nelson has just looked horrible this entire year. When Decker comes back and he's the one drawing the target, he's the one drawing the attention of the defense, that's going to leave Salas, open to make some plays. And we know, as Curley showed on Monday night, and has been showing his entire career, the man can just flat out get open, catch the ball, and make things happen. So let's give our offense the best chance they have. Ivory's got to be the feature back. Our receivers need to be Decker, Curley, and Salas. And let's start giving Jason Morrow some touches. He played pretty well. He dropped a pass, but he still played well and made his first impact really on a game as of his entire 3-game career so far. So let's give him some more chances. Hopefully the Jets follow these things. Rex Ryan has said that the Jets are going to make Chris Ivory get more touches this week. Let's hope that's the case. Going against Detroit Lions run defense that's very stout, they've got to be able to pound it in, and Chris Ivory is their only chance to do that. Let's let him pound it in and have Johnson for a little change of pace. That's all I've got for you on this Jets recap. I'll be back later in the week with my regular scheduled Mood Tube and also with my Jets preview for Sunday's game against the Lions. Just remember, you got to check out the Tube because I've got those sports for your every mood.